Hey everybody, today we want to talk about stress, an incredibly important topic, especially given how most of us are under a certain amount of stress quite often. And we all know that stress is referred to as the silent killer, and it's very true. And we always talk about here that we have to approach our health from a full body, mind, and soul perspective, because if we just look at diet, we're only covering a part of what's vital to maintaining a healthy body, mind, and soul. And we could eat the most pristine diet, and if we're stressed out all the time, especially over our jobs, our relationships, and whatnot, we can still find ourselves in a very unhealthy state, because stress can and will manifest itself in physical ways. And we want to talk about that because it's very important. Now, stress is a survival technique that's been built into all of us, and it makes a lot of sense. What happens when we're stressed, if we take the example of, say, you're walking home from work and it's a little bit late at night, you worked late and the streets are a little more quiet than normal, it's dark out, and you see a stray dog, and this dog doesn't have a collar, and it's a little mangy looking, it's a German Shepherd, it's a big dog, and it's looking at you kind of funny. You're going to get stressed. Most of us will get stressed. I know I would get stressed. And what happens? It's our body, our sympathetic nervous system gets triggered. Now that's our fight or flight response. We see a threat. This potential threat causes us stress, and it's good stress, because what happens is the body does this without us consciously making any effort, but it immediately shuts down digestion. It increases our blood flow. It starts to convert stored glucose, glycogen, back into glucose and dumps it into the blood. So more sugar is coming into our blood because it's anticipating the use of muscles if we have to fight or flight. So the body is immediately, within seconds, preparing all of this. We are mentally more focused. We get this tunnel vision. We've all had experiences like this where we're just locked in, laser locked on the potential threat. So the body knows this, everything else shuts down, and it deals with the threat at hand. Now that is incredibly useful for any creature. Other creatures have this stress instinct as well. So do we humans, and we need to do whatever we can, and the body prepares itself for whatever it can to either mitigate the threat or escape the threat. Now, that's all fine and well. Again, blood pressure goes up, blood sugar goes up, our rate of breathing and sweating goes up, right? Blood pressure goes up. And then that's called the alarm state. And then what happens once the threat is mitigated, like I said, or we've escaped danger, the body, this is called the adaptive stage, where the body returns to homeostasis, meaning returns back to normal, back to its kind of flat line. And it does that, and we kind of go on. What happens, though, with chronic stress, which is what most of us who are under a lot of stress suffer from, is a continual release of stress hormones, because we're continually feeling the impact of stress, whether it's real external threats or internal worries and anxiety. We are triggering continuous release of cortisol and adrenaline. And these are the fight or flight hormones. These are the hormones that are, getting our adrenaline up, shutting down the rest of the body so that we can deal with the threat at hand. Now, again, maybe there's not a stray dog. Maybe this is a problem with our boss. Maybe it's a worry about a loved one. Maybe it's a problem in a relationship. Maybe it's all of the above, right? Maybe it's financial worries. Any of these worries, anxieties, and difficulties that we might be having at any given point, and some of us unfortunately are dealing with many at one time. This level of stress that's always there. Now the body, this adaptive stage, is also called the adaptive resistance stage, because the body is incredible. Think about what it was like if you've ever smoked a cigarette and smoked one, and how awful it tasted, and how the body adapted to it. And like, I know I smoked for years, and I was able to smoke those things for years despite the level of toxicity and poison in it. The body is incredibly adaptive. Now, it adapts to these high level of stress hormones as well, so that we can function, so we're not crawled up in the fetal position all day. But that doesn't mean the stress and the damaging physiological impact of this continued chronic stress isn't ongoing. It is. This is why we our body, when we're in this continued stress type mode, our body is storing fat in the midsection. It's very, very difficult to lose it. What are some other symptoms of chronic stress? How it manifests physically: muscle and joint aches, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, overeating or not eating at all. It literally sucks the life out of us. Digestive issues like acid reflux, nausea, stomach cramps, loss of libido in men and women, loss of sperm production in men, and irregular menstrual cycles in women, lower bone density, mood issues like anger and depression. It jacks our sleep, right? And we all know, we talked about sleep and all of the incredibly negative impacts of not getting the right amount of hours and the right quality of sleep. This high level of stress is jacking our sleep as well. So, these are serious issues that could be ongoing for weeks and months and even years. And it literally sucks the life out of us. And most importantly, it hurts our immune system. It compromises our immune system. Think about it. The body's on this constant high state of alert because of these other things. Again, it's not a physical threat from a wild animal, but we're feeling threatened or vulnerable or scared in some other way or many other ways. Our body's reacting as if it was a scary animal. And it is focused on that, and it's not able to truly attend to all of the functions that it needs to in the way it needs to. And that is the problem with stress, and that is why it's the silent killer, and that's why it is so important to try to, and we're going to get to this, because the last stage of stress, we have the alarm state, and then we have the adaptive resistance state, and then we have the exhaustive stage where the body's ultimately going to wear down and shut down, whether we like it or not, or break down. These are not terms that we want to associate with good health. And we need to start to figure out some tools to mitigate stress. It's incredibly important to our health. Again, you could drink gallons of green juice and get every vitamin and mineral that's recommended and cut out every piece of garbage food. If you're in a chronic state of stress, you're going to find yourself in some state of disrepair, and it's very, very common, and it leads to poor ways of dealing with it. But let's before we get to that, let's talk about what are some things we can do to help mitigate stress. And again, easier said than done, but we need to really try to explore new ways, and that'll be our challenge for today. Identifying and being honest with the areas in our lives that are causing us stress, and B, really being open-minded to some mitigants and helpful tools that we can use to help relieve it. And then, even get motivated enough to try them. So let's talk about it. Of course, we're going to talk about meditation. Meditation has been scientifically proven to mitigate addiction, depression, anxiety, stress, cognitive dysfunction, even eating disorders. It improves our cell health, balances hormone levels, reduces blood pressure. And this meditation, it sounds like, I know for me, for years and years, it was like, oh, I have to try this meditation thing. And I would try it, and I'd say, oh, I'm not good at it or whatever. But that's not really what meditation is all about. Really just quieting our mind, or being in prayer, or just being quiet with very soft music, or with dim lighting, and quieting our mind, and maybe just even focused on breathing in and out. We talked about air and the importance of breathing and getting that air into the lower 20% of our lungs, because that's where 80% of oxygen gets absorbed. So just that, the importance of deep breathing. And deep breathing calms our nerves. It triggers our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest offset to the fight or flight. Now, how can we stimulate that? Well, meditation is one of the biggest ones. It helps us with our sleep. It helps us with clarity. More often than not, we get a lot of answers to some of the issues that we're struggling with just by quieting our mind and allowing, or trying to have a lot of the busyness in our minds, and things are constantly coming in and out, letting them pass through as best we can, and just sitting quietly and closing our eyes and resting. We also talked about the importance of rest. This is incredibly beneficial, and there are so many positives about technology these days, and one of them is the guided meditations that are out there. You can pick and choose the ones you like, the voices you like, whether it's music, and guided. So in the beginning, just start with 2 to 5 minutes, and pick what guided meditation, a nice soothing voice, and close your eyes and sit still, and allow yourself to try it. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. If we don't have 5 minutes, then therein is the problem, isn't it? If we can't take 5 minutes out to find some quiet, then we really need to analyze why we can't do that. Because that is probably why we're in such a state of stress to begin with. We're too busy. We're running around too much. We've taken on too much. We keep these long to-do lists that never end, and they only seem to grow. And we're literally driving ourselves into the ground. We are breaking down. We need rest. We need relaxation. We need fun. We need humor. We need joy. We need nature. We need to balance. And we're in this crazy, stressful world that we live in, we're out of balance. And you can see it with the level of stress, with the level of chronic disease, with the level of obesity and diabetes, the poor health decisions, the negativity, the level of suicide. I mean, this is awful. Like, this is a society that doesn't have to stress anymore about where we're going to get our next meal. If you're watching this, you're probably not worried about where your next meal is going to come from. And if you are, then, yes, that is truly stressful. But for the most part, we're not hunting and gathering and finding food. We have grocery stores. We have like all sorts of amenities. We have such an abundance and convenience that we're just stressed over more often than not having enough, not having what we want, not getting what we want, things not going the way we want. But as far as survival, most of us are fortunate enough not to have to stress out about that, and that's a big difference. So strongly try meditation, and you can have fun with it. Meditation can be just on your walk. You can walk and just think and listen to the leaves and just focus on nature. The key is to get out of that shitty committee in your head, or the broken records in your head that keep spinning around and around. Believe me, I've done it. I will do it again, but I will just keep trying. Keep trying these tools. So strongly suggest meditating. Some others, journaling, writing things down. It's very therapeutic to write things down. A lot of times we're thinking and thinking and thinking, it's like we're trying to balance our checkbook in our own minds. And sometimes writing it all down or getting it out on paper, even if we take that paper, crumble it up and throw it out, there's just something therapeutic. And I believe, because it's worked for me, that physical outpouring, physically releasing it, can be helpful and can help us lighten the load in our minds. Yoga, I'm a big fan of yoga. I do yoga all the time. I try to do it every day to some extent. Yoga is just for physically and mentally and relaxing, and the twisting and the releasing of various energies and things that are stuck in our bodies. Is incredibly beneficial, incredibly soothing. You can do it in classes. Yoga classes are not competitive. I have been in yoga classes, and I started in yoga and didn't know anything about it, and I still don't know all there is to know about it, but over time you learn. The classes are amazing. Try a beginner's yoga class. Spending time with positive people in your life, having that, crowding out the negative, right? Taking inventory, and just surround yourself with people who lift you up, who are funny, who are good listeners, who are interesting. That will help us take us out of our own mind, or who will listen to what's bothering us and be supportive. It's incredibly important to talk these things out and to get them off our chest, rather than have them percolate and sit in our minds and feel it. We feel the heat in our midsections when we're stressed and hurt or bothered or angry, right? We need to get that out. We need to release that. Take a break from the news and social media. I mean, it's so stressful, right? All there's the politics and the crime and the environmental disasters. I mean, these are real, and we're not looking to, stick our heads in the sand. But how much of it can we watch, and how beneficial is it to our overall lives? I would argue not much, not very beneficial at all. yeah, we need to vote and speak up and have views on things, and that's understandable. But sometimes we get overstimulated and overly emotional and sucked in to the garbage that's out on the news these days, and shutting it down and limiting ourselves to it and taking a break from it can really help our stress levels. Again, talked about diaphragmatic breathing. That's breathing in from your diaphragm, filling up your belly, filling up your whole, envisioning your whole midsection, your whole core as a balloon, and filling it up with air and releasing it, and slowing down your breathing and taking good, big, deep breaths will slow your whole body down. Trust me, try it. Organizing. A lot of times we're in a state of clutter, and that stresses us out. Our home environments, our work environments, we're looking around and there's shit all over the place, and it's driving us mad. Carving out a few hours to organize, get rid of some stuff, throw things away. If you've ever cleaned out your garage, I do it every year. And it's just such a great feeling. I like look at my garage and it's all cleaned out, it's swept out, I've got rid of stuff, and everything else is organized nice. And I come in and out of my house through my garage, and I feel so much better when it's clean. These have real powerful effects on our health. These are not insignificant little things. They're big things. They're just as important as the food we're putting in our body. So don't take any of these lightly. These stressors, and don't take any of the mitigants too lightly either, because they work. Organizing, so just like decluttering our physical space, decluttering our calendars. Do we really need to be doing everything we're doing every day? Do we really need to jam it all into one day, and then exhaust ourselves and potentially need stimulants like alcohol or coffee or cigarettes, or just pass out and get up and do it all over again and need coffee to get up? I mean, this is the cycle that we're living in. We need to breathe it out and chill out, and prioritizing and planning our schedules, organizing our work schedules more, delegating more, put some plants around, but jazz things up a little bit. If you're working in an office or a cubicle or whatever, your home environment, jazz it up, nice flowers, nice pictures, different colors. Exercise. Even if exercise is just taking a walk, that's exercise. That's cardio. That's getting your blood flowing. That's getting your body moving, your legs and your arms and your heart rate up. Take a walk. Take the phone call that you need to take for work, but take a walk. Learn how to say no to things. We can't keep saying yes to everything and everyone. We can't please all the people all the time. We need to demonstrate self-care. And self-care is sometimes saying no. We can't. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough room. We're sorry. Maybe later. And to find that time for ourselves, and hopefully at least 5 minutes of quiet time, at least some rest. Trying to change our mindsets about things. We have broken records that we go over and over again, and if we can't figure it out, a lot of times we're trying to figure it out, and sometimes these things just can't be figured out. We just need to I'm a big fan of, take an action and change a thought. Move your body and the thoughts will change. Reading a book, saying some prayers, taking a hot bath, doing some gardening. I love jigsaw puzzles. I did them as a kid. I just did one a couple months ago. I just, something I hadn't done in decades. And I did a jigsaw puzzle, and it was challenging, and it was fun, and it was frustrating, and I felt like such a great accomplishment when I was done. It was 1,000 pieces. It took me a while, but seeing that full picture and having worked through it and taking my mind off a lot of crap that was going on, I just put on some good music, and I spent an hour or two here or there, and it got done. Acupuncture, getting out in nature. I mean, there's just millions of things. Bike rides. There's so many things to help us with stress. Exercise, though, is a big one. Exercise will help us, again, flush it out. If you can find an infrared sauna and just sweat some of this stuff out. I had a year or so ago, I bought a punching bag, big punching bag, because I was in a state of frustration all the time, and I was angry, and I had resentments, and I was playing these tapes over and over again, and I would hit the shit out of that thing, and it felt good, and I got tired, and then I sat down, and I was like, okay, it helped me process things and work things out a little bit. Life is difficult. Life is hard. We're all under stress. Maybe not all the time, but we will have periods of stress. We'll have things that stress us out. Trying to find acceptance with the things that we cannot change, and finding the courage to change the things we can. One of my favorite prayers is a de-stressor. So looking to prayer and looking to spirituality as a big mitigant of stress, and again, finding that place of acceptance. Again, easier said than done, but the dedication to ourselves and the self-care is in trying and thinking about some of these things and making a small step. And the challenge is to maybe take some of these things and try them, and even if it's just breathing. Who can't do that right now? You mean to tell me you can't take 5 minutes out, go somewhere quiet, I don't care if it's in the bathroom, and breathe in and out and focus on your breath and breathe air in and out? Well, maybe the bathroom's not the best place to be. So try any of those, and there are plenty of others, and I'll put some stuff in, when this is done, when I'm done rambling on, about even more techniques you can use. Now look, what are some unhealthy ways of dealing with stress? These, we want to try a lot of the good ones. We really want to be honest about the ones that we use to cope with stress that are unhealthy, because what happens is we do these unhealthy things, and maybe we gain weight, or maybe we run into certain other addiction problems, and then we have compounded the problem and only added stress. So what am I talking about? Drinking excess amounts of caffeine, drinking too much alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and then smoking too many cigarettes. And I was guilty of all of these, by the way, all of them. Not exercising, getting lazy, overworking, trying to fill this void and this stress and counteract it by, just overexhausting ourselves in other areas, compulsive spending. These are the types of things that we tend to do. And they're unhealthy, and they cause us real problems potentially, and more stress, more emotional stress. So we really want to try to analyze those and move away more towards the healthy coping mechanisms with stress. So I've gone on long enough. I don't want to stress anybody out by talking too much, but I hope I got across the importance of stress, the physical damage that it does to the body. Again, it doesn't matter if you're eating the most pristine, live, healthiest, high quality organic foods. If you're under chronic stress, which many of us are, that is where we need to be looking, even more so than what's in our pantry. So please, if you walk away with anything, I hope it's that a renewed awareness and focus on the importance of trying to be as stress-free as possible. All right, guys, have a great night.